Hello and welcome to Herbalist and Herbs. My name is Harry Chrissakis. Today's video is short, Chemo and Botanicals, a superior combination. Now basically what I'm going to try and show is of course that chemo is better with the use of natural medicine, and this would also include supplements as well as botanicals. But there's a number of things that I wanted to try and accomplish through the video and through the paper that I've written, which is a companion article on the website. But the things that I wanted to try and show that botanicals can do in relationship to chemo is first of all to try and get the right drug to the right person. That is critically important. Second of all is the idea of managing cancer and not necessarily destroying it or eliminating it. The third thing is to reduce multi-drug resistance, also to reduce side effect, and also with the use of natural medicine there's a very real possibility of being able to use less of the chemotherapeutic agents and less frequently with even more effect. And there have been a number of cases where this has been done. There's not a huge amount of tests done on it, but I believe that this is the way to go, and there's a lot of information to prove that this is true. Now, when you're doing basic work to try and determine and help people with where they're going, one of the problems in standard practice oncology is they're not doing enough things up front to find out who qualifies for what drug. And there's a number of tests that can be done, and I've discussed this in previous articles and on previous videos as well. The first is if there's a surgery, that is if there's a tumor removed, to have a fresh tumor sample tested against chemotherapeutic agents. This is a huge thing and a very simple idea. This way you can know which drugs may very well be more effective than others, which may not be effective at all with that particular type of cancer. The next thing would be something called SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, in which you check to see if the drug can either be metabolized and or excreted properly, because if that's not the case, it could be very serious consequences. A third thing would be genomic testing to determine what the possibilities are of recurrence, what the percentage of possibilities are of recurrence. Because this way you know if you got somebody who's got more aggressive cancers and more great possibilities of recurrence quickly, that you're going to treat them more aggressively. So it gives you that very important piece of information. And the other end is molecular profiling, tumor analysis, and that's to determine things like which growth factors are pushing the cancer, which growth factor receptors are amplified. Now all that should be done no matter what before you're even considering any drug, and also those other added in things, if you have done a surgery, should be done up front. This way you have a good clear bit of information, and very important piece of information, to determine which drug to use for which person. Now this precludes the fact that there should be a whole realm of frontline tests given. And that's usually the case, things like CBCs, metabolic lipid panels, but with the addition of things like homocysteine, C-reactive protein, D-dimer, fibrinogen, C-peptide, the things that indicate both hyperinflammatory and hypercoagulative conditions, because these two conditions as preconditions in the body are already setting up a dangerous situation with the use of certain chemotherapeutic agents. Okay, now once all those frontline tests and the other tests that I've mentioned, like Wiesenthal or fresh tumor testing, once all those have been done, the next thing that needs to be looked at again is through molecular profiling, is which things are in this cancer that can indicate that it's going to be resistant or receptive to a particular drug. So let's take a class of chemotherapeutic agents, taxanes, which are derived from the yew tree. And by the way, about 60 to 70% of chemotherapeutics either are derived or were once derived from plant medicines. So taxanes, now they profile out in a particular way. So if a person has a low class 3 beta-tubulin read, that's a positive sign. If they have a high epidermal growth factor receptor, that's a positive sign. If they have a high Ki-67, which is a measurement of how fast or how rapidly the cancer is dividing, that is a good sign, because many chemotherapeutic agents work better with a more rapidly dividing cancer. There's a couple of other things that are very important in terms of determining if taxanes work well. The ones that I just laid out are also very important. Another really important number to look at for taxanes is P53. If it's P53 positive, then that is also a good sign for the use of taxanes. P53 is the gene that guards the genome, and often that area has been mutated, and which is one of the things that has allowed the cancer to develop. But anyway, if you're P53 positive, that is another good sign. There's something called CHFR, which is another gene site. If that has been methylated, that is a bad sign for the use of platinum drugs, but a good sign for the use of Taxols. Now, these are all the things that have to be done in advance of even prescribing the drug. Many of these things are missed, and they really are important pieces of information to determine if that person can handle that drug properly. Now, to go into the botanical elements that enhance the possibilities of that drug working better. Taxanes combine well with a bunch of herbs that are relatively common: curcumin, resveratrol, green tea extract. These are common things that can be used, but again, the quality of the product is a big, big deal. So when we're looking at, let's take a specific taxane, paclitaxel. That's a common drug that's used. Now, in order for that to work well and to get the things, you have to have the profile that I read, but things like ashwagandha are critical to it working well. Ashwagandha does a bunch of things that, in terms of paclitaxel use. One of the things is it increases the tumoricidal effect. It also reduces the bone marrow suppression that occurs with the use of that particular taxane. Now, DIM also combined, DIM, which is a supplement, diindomethane, that combines well again with this particular drug. And what it does is it reduces resistance and also reduces HER2 resistance to the drug, which is another problem that people have. Resveratrol is a really key supplement to use, and again, these are very specific herbs that I'm talking about. So when I deal with ashwagandha, it's a 15-to-1 full spectrum extract. When I deal with resveratrol, it's trans resveratrol, and it's 500 milligrams of trans resveratrol, not 500 milligrams of knotweed or Japanese knotweed. So you get the idea that being specific about what herbs and what supplements and how they are made and concentrated is critical to getting success with these ideas. And that goes across the board with any kind of chronic disease that you're going to be working with. You may have to make sure that the quality of the herbs and the product is exact to what you want. Okay, so you get the idea that the use of herbs and supplements with just with these taxanes is increasing the possibilities of what they can do. Just to take another thing, Herceptin, which is a common drug, it's a monoclonal antibody that they use for people who are HER2 positive, and which is almost exclusively tested only for breast cancer. And anyway, HER2 is a driver of breast cancer, and it occurs in about 30% of breast cancer. Well, there's a big problem with resistance to HER2 after a period of time, and also the fact that it does have a profile that people, if they do not show up well for it, will not do well with it. But a couple of things that really enhance the effect of Herceptin is green tea extract and reishi mushroom. And again, this is green tea extract that is 40 to 50% EGCG and 80 to 90% catechins, and it's reishi mushroom that's 50% polysaccharides and 6% triterpenes. And again, that can be concentrated to a 50 or 30 or 15-to-1 extract. So you've got these really potent herbal combinations to affect the very, very strong drugs and mitigate side effects, enhance the killing capability of the drug, reduce multi-drug resistance, manage the cancer, knock down things like all the different receptors and growth factors that are being exaggerated by the cancer, the herbs and supplements balance those things out and take the legs away from the resistance of the cancer. This is the basic theme. The cancer has become resistant because it's dependent upon many other things. And if you begin to remove those legs, the resistance gets weakened. It's a very simple idea, but takes a very great deal of homework to find out how that particular cancer is functioning in that particular person, and how the drugs and the supplements can dovetail together to do the job in a superior way. If you want to know more about chemo and botanicals and cancer in general, and there's a number of issues also on health-related issues on the website, just go to the website herbalistandherbs.com and take a look. Thanks for your time.